And every Monday, we will be joined by Adam Terry, usually to review the week prior, but always great to check in with our friend Adam here before the season opener. Adam, great to have you on, and, man, fun to be talking football again this week.
Yeah, no, fantastic. It's was able to watch the Notre Dame Navy game. That week 0 gets you gassed up a little bit, and it brings you into a storied rivalry that hasn't been played in a while, but the Colgate-Syracuse matchup. So getting excited for that this weekend and ready to see what they can put out there.
All right, Adam. So entering this season, Dino Babers year 8, Garrett Schrader year 3, new coordinators, a lot of changeover in personnel. What's the first thing, that strikes you as we get into this week is, that's really weighing on your mind to start this year?
Can you stay healthy? Right? Like that was the downfall of last year. At certain points, you come out like gangbusters and you're rolling, and then a starter goes down, and then you're rolling again, and another starter goes down. And towards the end of the season, they weren't able to get past all of the losses that they had. And I looked at the sideline this year. This is the first season where I've come onto the sideline and looked around and looked some people in the eye. So, they got bigger, they got taller, and you looked at some of the players that they have historically had, and those guys aren't out on the field, and then they've gone out through transfer portal and, the such, and getting guys bigger and stronger in the weight room and adding more weight, that they look good. They're out there, they're being physical, and now can that translate to more wins out on the field?
Adam, I thought the same thing as you. I thought bigger, stronger, the whole thing, just standing around. And it's not anybody even in particular. It's just looking around. I'm glad you said the same thing. You're a better comparison to that than I am to tell if the guys are bigger out there. And, I think part of that here is we're looking at the depth chart to start this season, and we always like to talk O-line with you. They brought in 3 transfer portal guys on the offensive line: DeAndre Reed, Joe Moore, and Dave Woolabaugh. One of them a JC guy, one of them a slightly lower level guy in Moore, and Woolabaugh obviously a legacy product at Syracuse and from the SEC. And all of them here are in the week 1 starting lineup. Is that encouraging? What does that tell you that all 3 were able to come in and grab starting spots right off the bat?
To be determined. It seems as though it's encouraging that they were able to go out and get guys that they really liked. Woolabaugh having the experience at that SEC level, and Joe Moore having 37 career starts under his belt. Yes, at Richmond, but those are valuable starts because they're going to go play a Power 5 team, 2-3 times out of the year, and then to be able to get in a JUCO transfer that's going to be your epicenter, the guy that's calling everything out. That's a testament to him in order to come in and be able to grasp that offense and supplant a guy like Josh Aloha.
And I found myself immediately, Adam Terry is our guest here on Mondays this football season, comparing it to the D-backs, because the 2 main areas they hit in the portal were the line and the defensive backfield, and all 3 of the offensive linemen that came in are starting, and none of the D-backs are starting, which I guess probably tells you the opposite tale, right, of what they thought of what they had in that room, even losing guys like Garrett Williams and Jahad Carter and Deuce Chestnut.
Yeah, I just, when you look at the defensive back, I think that they're not there yet. So some of these transfers have to work their way into a rotation first. But a guy like Isaiah Johnson, who came in from Dartmouth last year, he's not giving that spot up. Come hell or high water, he's 6'3", he's 195 pounds. He was running extremely well when I watched him. And, I think there's going to be, it's going to be tough to supplant a guy like him. And then in that back end with Simmons and Behrens and Clark, I watched Barron like I thought he was a defensive tackle. He's 6'4", 6'3", 235, 230 pounds. But the way that he was running, there's a lot more that Rocky Long, the new defensive coordinator, can do with him this year than what Tony White could do with him last year, just because of the physical presence that he's going to be able to bring in that run game.
Yeah, and Jeremiah Wilson's the other starting cornerback right now. It looks like he's fending off the Notre Dame transfer and Jaden Bellamy. I had him on the show last week, Adam, a really impressive guy. And, had Zeke Johnson on the show last week as well. You mentioned he's up the digit. He's number 3 now, so all's good to go. I'm impressed with those guys. You say, man, you lose two corners that potentially could be NFL guys. Garrett is one, and Deuce could be one. I'm impressed with what they've been able to do in the portal and recruiting to keep that position stocked.
And the best thing out of that is it's created depth and a lot of competition that's been occurring in that room. I was able to stand near the DBs while watching a couple of the scrimmages and practice, and no one was sulking. Everybody was getting after each other. Hey, you got to do better here. Someone would come off to the sideline. The coaches would be right there running down the litany of things that need to improve. I was impressed with that group in particular because it seemed like it was a very selfless group that they know at any moment in time they're going to get their number called and they have to produce.
Garrett Shrader. It always comes down to the quarterback, and it's amazing it's taken us this long to get to the quarterback, Adam. Is it just health with Garrett? Obviously, his throwing game it has been what it was. It's on at times, it's off at times. His accuracy on the deep balls has been inconsistent. Is it health, or is it the rest of the stuff here that is most important for Garrett?
I'm going to put it out there right now. I think for Garrett Shrader, it's going to be the health.
Yeah.
Are you able to run the football the way that he runs? On my social media feed, it popped up that helicopter that he had when he was down in Mississippi State and took off down the sideline. That has to be minimized. He's going to be a guy that wants to run you over and be physical. He's a very Phillip Rivers-esque mentality. Like, hey, I'm really built like somebody else, built like an offensive lineman mentality-wise, and I'm going to try to run you over and make an impression. But for him, he's going to be the guy that has to dial that portion back, understand when to step out of bounds, and that offensive line is going to have to keep him on his feet when he's dropping back to pass the football this year.
Yeah, and he said all the right things about that in August, that, I don't want to run the ball as much. I don't want to be grinding for yards. Everybody says that in August, so we'll see what that looks like here.
But that's part of his game, and that's what we have to expect. And can that offensive line and tight ends and wide receivers, when he does take off down the field, can they rally around the football and make sure that there's nobody there just standing around going to take a cheap shot on their quarterback? And it's the blunt reality of this game is if you can put a quarterback out of a game, it's a downhill spiral for the team. So they're personal protectors out on that field for number 6. And if they get the job done at the line of scrimmage, they've just got to make sure that he's got a convoy and an escort into that end zone when he does take off down the field.
Yeah, it's what happened last year at Clemson. And I realized there were other injuries, but it completely affected the back half of the season last year because he was not right the rest of the way. And I guess the other thing that can make him do that stuff less, right, Adam, is if he has other weapons. We know about Oronde Gadsden. I think we think we know about LaQuint Allen. I guess we'll see. Where else do you see the offensive production coming from this year?
I mean, we've seen spurts out of number 5, Damian Alford. He looks the part, right? I liken him to a kid like Johnny Morant. Physically, he looks the part. He moves extremely well. He's getting down the field. Now it's the little intangibles. Are you in the right space? Are you getting open? Are you running the route at the right depth? And I'm not saying that he doesn't do that right now, but it's that age of, hey, I'm in my junior season. He's going to be looking for another target to throw the ball because Oronde is going to be shut down in a couple capacities. They're going to bracket him or they're going to hit him off the line of scrimmage, and then somebody's going to be open. So I really liked what I saw out of Damian Alford. He was able to catch a drag across the backside of the end zone, toe tap, get it in, score the touchdown in one of the scrimmages. But there's also more guys there. Isaiah Jones coming back off the shoulder injury. Donovan Brown is a name that I just keep hearing, right? I see him every once in a while out on the field, but this is just a name when you ask the equipment guys or the training staff or the strength staff. They're like, hey, he's got a shot. Well, okay, let's see what you can do when you get that shot. 6'1", 178 pounds. He's not going to necessarily run through you, and hopefully he's got enough speed to run around you.
It looks like Trevor Pena is out hurt, it appears, for this week. Looks like Brown will be in the slot, I presume, this week, so we'll see how it goes. And you're right on Arande, Adam, as Adam Terry is with us. Like last year when the season started, I mean, Arande was fantastic the whole year, but it was Sean Tucker. Like, if you were the other team's defense and you didn't put 28 guys in the box, it's like, I mean, you should be fired immediately until they stopped Tucker, and Arande was able to do what he does. What do you think, to start the season, teams are going to do to Arande until, LaQuint Allen or anybody else proves themselves?
I think first and foremost, they're going to try to get him at the line of scrimmage. They're going to try to be physical with him. He is a big, strong kid, so I don't think that's going to necessarily be the massive deterrent, but they're going to try to take him out of the game, and that's going to be with doubles or that's going to be with brackets. However they're going to run that game, they're not going to allow him to beat them, and that's going to open up one-on-ones on the outside for other people to win. And I like the wide receiver position. We're going to still call Arande a tight end, so he needs that All-American status at that tight end position. But LaQuint Allen is going to have to be a presence, and the physicality of him with that offensive line to really, when it's needed, be able to create a bulldozer effect. And I love when he runs because he runs like he's shot out of a cannon. There's no rolling start for him. It's like you're pulling the knob on the pinball back, and you're watching that pinball go. So I like what the offense has. It's just going to be can they go out and consistently progress, because where they are now is not where they're going to finish the season. I think they're going to get progressively better, and they're going to have to, as this slate of schedule, that middle gauntlet that we see as we saw last year, that's really where they're going to have to steal one or two of them.
Yeah, Adam, as we look at the schedule, we know those three in a row. It opens with, 3 out of 4 games you have to go win. The game at Purdue will be tricky because it's a Big Ten road game, but it's certainly a winnable game. And then you get to that gauntlet of Clemson, Carolina, and Florida State. I mean, we talk health all the time. Like, is that the most important thing to this season, Adam, that they somehow navigate those 3 games, healthy enough to get to the back half? Or is it, you're trying to, I mean, obviously you want to win one of the games, but in my mind, almost it feels like health in those 3 games is paramount, even above winning the games.
I just look at it as the continual progression of these guys are getting bigger, they're getting stronger. We've created more depth. So if somebody steps out of the lineup, it's not dropping from an 8 to a 4. If we drop from an 8 to a 6 in that player rating, we're going to have an opportunity in that to turn some heads. Mm-hmm. I think we don't know what Beck is going to be as this play caller. We knew what Robert and I was because of his track record at BYU, and then when he was at Virginia, and then coming to Syracuse, and now he's at NC State. So we kind of knew what his play calling style is. Beck is kind of that wild card right now, so we're excited about that. And then on that other end, you've got the young guy on the offense, and then you've got Rocky Long on the defense, who has been there, done that, coached it, made the defenses, and people follow him. So I like that youth movement on offense, but we've got that stalwart on the defense to really get these guys going. And it's been fun. It was fun to watch the preseason progress, but now it's crunch time. So guys that were getting reps are no longer going to be getting reps. They're going to be on scout team. They've got to put together a heck of a week and really get these guys ready to go out against a Colgate team that, they didn't hit the mark last year, but they're going to be trying to prove something. And why not going, 30 minutes down, 40 minutes down the road to try to do that against the Syracuse team.
All right. Lastly, Adam, last week I kind of did a ceiling and a floor thing. It feels like, if everything clicks, maybe you can bottle a 2018 season again. Like if Garrett Schrader gets hurt early in the year, it's like, watch out. What are your, reasonable expectations for what you think we're going to see over the course of 12 weeks this year?
I'm cautiously optimistic, and it's really contingent upon health, because I think they have right now a depth chart that can get them to that point, and it's bowl game or bust, right? That's really where it comes down to. Start out strong, go out to Purdue. That's going to be a crucial one for what their season's going to look like. Can they nail that one down, survive the gauntlet during the middle, and that back end? You've got to get the BC, you've got to get the Wake Forest, and for Syracuse winning a bowl game and having the continuity of Dino being around so long and the progress in the recruiting ranks, that's what Syracuse is going to have to hang their hat on. If it goes any other way than that, you'll have a fun time fielding calls.
That is a fact, Adam. That is a fact. That is the easiest prediction of all of this season. All right, man. Always good to chat. We'll do it again next Monday, and do enjoy the game this weekend.
All right, sounds good.